Ksante's a champion that's a little bit overtuned. Okay, honestly, that's an understatement, but that's kind of why I want to learn to play him so badly. Because even though he definitely is broken, he also is one of the hardest champions in the game to play. And based on his win rate, it seems like not a lot of people know what to do on this champion. So for the next 10 hours, I'm gonna try to learn Ksante in 3 steps. First, normal games, second, do some research, and third, play some ranked games. I'm doing this because I'm trying to learn every champion, so one day I can make the greatest Viego video ever. And yeah, this challenge is the first one ever where I almost quit before the 10-hour mark.
I got 5,000 gold. I got less gold than the fucking support. This champion makes no sense.
So what runes and build should you go on Ksante? For your runes, the best option is technically Aftershock. The extra resistances you get give all of your abilities extra damage, not to mention it just makes you tankier. However, it is hard to pull off, and I found Grasp of the Undying to fit my playstyle way better, especially for short trades with my Q and passive. Your build is a little bit weird. For math reasons, before you finish your first item, you want to build at least one extra component item because the stats are super important and your abilities scale with resistances. After that, your build should almost always be Iceburn Gauntlet, Cainic Rookern, Fimbulwinter, and Jock Show with a flexible final item like Unending Despair. And with that, on to some normal games. So to start things off, I didn't really know what to expect with Ksante. Part of me thought he was gonna be just incredibly broken, but the other part of me knew how hard it was going to be to actually pull off the incredible plays. And I honestly think going in blind like this genuinely helped me in my first few games because I had no expectations. I was just having fun learning a new, complicated champion. And even though I was doing a lot of things wrong, I was still getting some nice kills and getting used to Ksante's kit overall. I even pulled off some pretty impressive plays, like using my C to flip Garen under the tower and kill him here. Unsurprisingly though, I still lost my first game. But even though I lost, I was definitely starting to feel more confident already.
Yes, I'm the best.
And I felt like I kind of knew what I was doing.
I kind of want to use him to go in here.
Okay, maybe I didn't quite know what I was doing yet.
They're all dead, they're all dead, they're all dead.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of things I still needed to learn.
Wait, what? If I ult, I lose my Q charges?
With the most important thing to learn being Ksante's ult, because I really didn't know how to angle it yet.
Was I not angled this way? I don't know, man.
Or when to use it. I just didn't realize how squishy it made you when you transformed, which made me lose again. But despite the multiple things I did wrong, I also did do a lot of things right, like using my Q3 to guarantee a stun with my W, using my W stun to make sure I ulted the enemy in the direction I wanted, or staying in my tanky form just long enough for my Gwen to arrive, and then ulting to burst down the enemy with Gwen. Like, I really did think I was playing pretty well, but no matter what I did, I just couldn't seem to win. And you know what? It makes sense after building up a little confidence that I would have my first really bad game. Maybe Fiora is just a bad matchup, or maybe I just suck, but I could not hit her and her true damage destroyed my resistances. But honestly, this matchup did push me a lot mechanically. Sure, I still lost this fight because I was super behind, but I actually think I was playing pretty smooth this fight. Even my ults were getting pretty good, perfectly isolating one enemy so Victor and I could lock her down and kill her. I just gotta remember not to ult people towards my low HP teammates.
Oh, I killed him! I killed my teammate!
But again, Ksante is super hard, and for every good ult I had like 3 bad ones.
Are you serious? He doesn't go over the wall?
And just like that, I had played all of my normal games without a single win. Time for ranked, I guess. So I did some research on YouTube, and here's what I found. 1, you are a tank first. Your ult is an awesome way to become a killing machine, but only use it to isolate an important target or peel for your carry. Otherwise, just focus on peeling and being a frontline. 2, you can cancel animations a little bit with your E and your other 2 abilities. So for quick trades, you can jump to a minion and cast another ability for a smooth animation. 3, don't waste your W. I used it way too offensively looking for stuns, but it's just as powerful if not more powerful defensively. It stops CC, lowers damage, and you can hold it for as short or long as you want depending on what you need. And 4, try to auto after every ability because your passive damage is actually very high. This can be used for short trades like Q auto then run away, or an all-in Q auto, W auto, Q auto, ult for example. Anyway, on to some ranked games. So for my first ranked game, I got placed mid because I just couldn't decide what lane I wanted to play. You see, mid lane allows you to have more impact on the map, which is great because of Ksante's CC and utility in teamfights. The problem was, I don't know mid lane matchups nearly as well, which is kind of obvious here. Luckily, our Caitlyn got super fed this game, so I basically just spent the entire game peeling for her. It was actually the first time I fully committed to a protect the carry playstyle, and it actually went really well. I probably wouldn't have played like this without my research, actually. Anyway, I went back top lane to avoid ranged matchups, and immediately played against an R. He should die. I do get better about playing against ranged matchups later in this challenge, but at this point, I just could not hit them. Like here, I landed all of my slows, but still couldn't hit an R. Then I saw Rammus running away from me, so I got frustrated, ulted, and then died. And it was at this point I was starting to think maybe I'm just not cut out for Ksante. I had lost almost every game, and the only game I won, I got carried. I was so frustrated I couldn't even decide what lane I wanted to play, and going back and forth between top and mid was definitely doing more harm than good, especially when it came to my mental. Because I was getting better at Ksante mechanically, and even had some pretty good fights.
I'm gonna use him to get onto Ezreal.
But after this loss, my confidence was just completely shattered. So after my first few ranked games, I came up with a new plan. Only play top lane so I can start to get more comfortable with Ksante in one lane. I just took a deep breath, reset mentally, and tried to focus on improving instead of winning. And things started to go a lot better, until they didn't. And even though I didn't want to focus on the losses, I just couldn't help myself. Which brings me to the lowest point I have ever had during one of these challenges. Sure, I had been frustrated before, but this was different. For the first time, I was completely lost playing this new champion, even after the research section. I was just completely overwhelmed and didn't know where to start improving because I felt like I was doing everything wrong, and I almost quit the challenge altogether. So after these games, I realized I still had a lot of work to do.
I got 5,000 gold. I got less gold in the fucking support. This champion makes no sense.
So I took the next day off and came up with a plan. 1. I changed my rune from Aftershock to Grasp of the Undying. Sure, Aftershock has more potential, but Grasp just fits my playstyle so much better. 2. Stop forcing so many fights. I realized I was playing super aggressively in lane, and it's probably because my last two champions were Darius and Volibear top lane. Ksante just needs to play way slower. 3. Play around my team. I don't do nearly as much damage to towers, and Ksante's crowd control and utility make him way more important in teamfights. And 4, just simplify my build. Ksante has a very complicated build for math reasons, so I made an item set with the 2 most common builds and just focused on those. So after this new plan and a short break, I was ready for ranked again. And immediately I felt better in lane. Changing my runes and just being more patient with my trades opened up way more opportunities for me. Instead of just constantly fighting, I focused on short trades and waiting for my opponent to mess up and punishing that. Until eventually I had enough armor and I knew I could just kill him from 100 to 0. I also focused more on peeling for my carries and probably would have killed this Gangplank too if I hadn't missed my first Q. And even though we lost 20 to 40, I finally felt like I knew what I was doing a little bit. All of a sudden, I was more confident, more relaxed, and most importantly, less tilted. Well, I still got tilted sometimes. I mean, it's League of Legends.
No, it didn't go over the fucking, oh my god.
And even though I still wasn't winning yet, I knew my luck was about to change.
I wasn't recording, you're kidding me. I had such a good solo kill.
So after forgetting to record my first kill in this game, I had my first game where I knew I played really well and started to actually have fun with Ksante again.
He did the, I forgot he can do that. Oh, I thought I had him.
I realized I didn't have to smash lane like Darius, and I didn't have to constantly split push like Volibear, but I did need to show up to team fights when it mattered most. Even if Nami kinda carried the end of this one because I missed literally everything. And most importantly, I needed to focus on helping my team instead of just myself. Saved her life with that shield, by the way. And finally, finally, I got my first win in over 4 hours. All of a sudden, the floodgates just opened up and I started playing so much better. A few hours ago, I couldn't even pick a lane to play. Now I was outplaying every lane.
Wait a minute, I just W his flip.
I mean, you can just tell from my voice my confidence was back.
And by low key, I mean I absolutely whoop his ass.
Sure, I still made my fair share of mistakes.
I missed, no. Oh my god, that's a lot of people.
But I was doing better at literally everything on Ksante. His combos, his build, his laning, and his team fighting. And I was starting to see why Ksante is just so broken. And before you say anything, I know, I mid this game, but let me explain. You see, Kayle and Wukong are both Ksante's like worst matchups, so I told Silas he can just pick whoever he wanted to lane against, and he just happened to choose top against Kayle. I promise I'm not gonna start changing lanes again, because I'm just playing too damn well in the top lane right now. And apparently, when you stop going 0-6 in lane, you actually do a good amount of damage. But I think the improvement I'm most proud of is my mindset, focusing less on myself and more on peeling and tanking for my team. I mean, sure, it's fun to get solo kills in lane with my ult transformation, and even get kills in lane without my ult transformation sometimes. But just look how long I stay in my tanky form this fight, doing what I can to CC the enemy while my carries do the damage. Eventually, I do end up ulting, but that's only after the rest of my team is out of damage and we need a way of finishing off Swain. I mean, if you watched my early fights at the start of this challenge, I was literally ulting as soon as possible. I used to think that my damage form was just way more important than my tanky form, but now I understood that there was a time and place for both. And this understanding helped me win way more games. Like in this fight. I saw Zilean ulted me and I knew I was gonna die anyway, so I ulted to the backline because I wanted to do as much damage as possible when I revived. Was this play 100% correct? Honestly, I don't know. Like I said, Ksante has nearly endless possibilities, and I'm sure that a good Ksante player could make either form work here. But the important thing is, I finally understood why each form was important. Sometimes you need to finish off the enemy AD carry with your ult, and sometimes you need to protect your own AD carry. But even though I did win like 5 games in a row, I did still have some issues. Like against super mobile champions that I just can't hit. They are beatable with my ult, I just need to be way more careful without it. Sometimes, in a big team fight, I panic and just use my ult and it's a complete waste. And sometimes, I just overestimate how tanky I am, which causes me to start a fight I have no chance of surviving. But despite all of that, I am so much better at Ksante. And for my final game, I was against a Singed, which was frustrating. No, he's just proxying again! But that didn't matter. I remembered all the things I had learned this challenge, like saving my ult until the perfect moment to kill an important enemy, playing my lane slow and punishing the enemy when the time was right. No, please! Easiest game of my life. And most importantly, playing around my team in fights. Just because I've seen countless Ksante outplay montages, it doesn't mean that's all he's good for. You have shields, slows, and stuns to keep your team safe until eventually you find a moment to just go absolutely crazy. But sometimes you just gotta throw caution to the wind because this champion is probably the most broken champion Riot has ever released. This means if you play the fight well enough, you can beat a Jax and Darius 1v2, even though they're considered some of the strongest bruisers in the game. So yeah, Ksante is really fucking hard, but he's also really fucking fun.